Beautiful Borgers and crypto degens, today is all about XBorg, our wonderful sister company that has been really changing the game of GameFi. It's really powering the next generation of gaming and really making sure that you, a gamer, could finally live out the real dream, which is playing for life and earning at the same time. What I really like about this new protocol that they're building is really bringing anything that's from the Web 2 and the Web 3 and create a real identity. And I think so this is something that now we look at as something a little bit crazy, but going forward with Web 3 reputation, everything that goes with it, you will enable yourself to really create your profile, and therefore you'll be able to passport it, have credentials with that, and go something much bigger than that and earn thanks to this. I think this is really what the whole thing is about with XBorg, is finally putting back the power to the gamers, right? Web 2 has created a lot of great games, but you're just a slave of that game. You're just one other player that's just enjoying potentially. Well, here the thing is that with Web 3, we obviously want to bring, the representation of gamers, how they could potentially play, but start earning, and more importantly, start being able to live out of this. I think so this is something that's very, very interesting. Before getting more into XBorg, I think so it's very important to show how we're going to analyze essentially this potentially new presale that's going to happen in the upcoming days is with the 5 Ps, right? We're talking about price, product, people, popularity, and privileges, right? So let's start right away from the price movement. So the XBG token has not been released yet, right? What we know from the past is that there's been a Prometheus. We know that essentially the presale is about to happen in 5 days. We know that as well right now there is close to $15 million that have been committed, and essentially 8,600 for investors. There's not an FDV that's precise for this raise. Essentially, it's going to be a floating one, a bit like with the Series A with SwissBorg. So based on how much money essentially they're going to raise, that will determine the FDV. If you look at other competitors, is this a juicy market or not? If you look at YGG, which is not a gaming identity, essentially what it is really a gaming guild, which XBorg is as well, of course, you would see that the fully diluted market cap is close to $1 billion. And if you look now on the more infrastructure place, which could be, for example, Merit Circle, which now is called Beam OS, you see that the total market cap of Merit Circle is over $2 billion. So it's a bit above the both, because you have the protocol with XBorg, which essentially is this gaming identity and how these credentials are built and everything. And then you have essentially this number 2, which is essentially a gaming community. And more than that, we know that XBorg has more actually than that. So let's go more into now the product itself, right? So we know that the big thing that's being developed more is the gamer base. So essentially, you'll be able to log in and start creating your avatar. And with different quests, you'll be able to essentially build your status. And that's one of the most beautiful things, right? Like you win some games, you'll get able to do different things, you'll get able to get different swords and whatsoever. So essentially, you're going to building your LinkedIn profile a bit, but with this like super cool avatars, and imagine how things could be going forward. The one with XBorg is already with some amount of members. This has just started, and the My BDS one is still not yet into it. So I think so this is something that is really, really cool, that people will really enjoy playing these games and as well doing these different quests. And this is something that I think so within the product, this is something that's very, very different. I really customize your identity based on all your different achievements, which is something that is very, very cool. The number 2 thing that is very, very exciting regarding XBorg essentially is if you have able to buy a Prometheus, such as myself, which was the first NFT that did very well, you've been able essentially to invest in these different projects, right? And I know Aether Games has done very well so far. It's one of the games that has been essentially listed, and the token has been released. I think so there was a 10x on that one. and more to come, right? And as you see, there's always new deals coming out. There was Chronoforge that was done recently, and there's as well Chronos Worlds that's coming very soon, only in 2 days from now. So this is always another very, very interesting way to essentially look at your portfolio and start investing to this launchpad and these deals. And thanks to the great community of XBorg, and has so much players, very often you get very good deals thanks to that. So this is something that's as well very, very cool. And not last but not least, I think so the one thing that is very interesting here is more as much as, of course, the gamer base and the gaming launchpad, essentially is the ITOs. The ITOs, what it is initial team offering. Will you enable yourself to finally, take part in one of the biggest esports competition teams? And we know how big this is, right? In some way, we've seen Chile's would have this done, but this is really specialized only into the gaming. So this will be enabled to tokenize gaming communities and to live through Web3 tokenization. I think so. This is something that is very, very cool. That's really, really awesome. And what I like very much about this holistic approach of XBorg is that XBorg is really now in the middle of all of that, right? It has, again, the protocol with the gaming identity, has a launchpad. It has essentially all the tournaments that were being played, the ITOs, and essentially it's enabling you to be part of all this different strong ecosystem, right? And in the middle, of course, is the XBorg ID. And I think so this is something that strongly believe it's really, really good to have. So we just went into the product. Now the third thing is, let's look about the people. So being one of the person that enabled this to happen to some extent, I think this team is just amazing. Some of them are SwissBorg former employees. Some of them are new people. Overall, the team is awesome people. And they're awesome not only because they're competent, but their passion has been gaming and Web3. And they believe that the community is the right way to do things. Anyone that is part of XBorg has been a gamer intensively and has been as well a big enthusiast about Web3, of course. And I think so that's a very good combination when you put your passion together and you create this young team of strong entrepreneurs that are extremely driven and that really wants to reward the community, right? That's something that's very important. And very importantly as well, change the lives of gamers, which again has been enslaved. Of course, this is a SwissBorg spin-off. We already talked about that. But what's very important here is that there's been great investors as well that has happened within XBorg already. There's been you guys, the community, and there's been as well a lot of other different investors that have a great extensive network of all these different influencers, such we could see here, and many others, and many crypto OGs that have been in there. And this is I think something very, 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 very strong. What we have to understand as well from the team and the network is that they are playing this in the smartest way, because not only this is a full ecosystem of Web3 and it's really taking part in different ways, but they're as well attracting what has been extremely successful in Web2. And Team Liquid has 2 million fans, 750,000 just on Twitter. Team BDS has 600,000 fans. Ninja in Pajamas has 1.3 million. And they have so many fans that will start to know XBorg, because now XBorg is working to develop these different teams and do these ITOs and whatsoever. So this is something very paramount, is that how do you bring so many people from the Web2 ecosystem is partnering up with the kings and the queens and the best esports teams. So that's quite cool, actually. So this, I think so, is something that is very, very important. Again, is how do you, the go-to market is to bring all these people right into XBorg ecosystem, into the Web3 with the credentials and all of that, gaming identity, and how you're creating your different profiles and the ITOs and all of that. So this is something I think so that is very, very important. Now let's go and, I think so. I just talked about popularity. XBorg has been very popular. It has already done the Prometheus, and then their pre-sale that it was always reached its all time. I mean, it was closed all the time very rapidly. We know that right now there's been already 8,600 people that are KYC that want to invest. That's a lot of people, to be honest. That's a lot of people for KYC. That is a huge amount of people. So obviously the popularity of XBorg is just growing, and there's much more I cannot say that will be revealed very soon. The privilege is maybe the last thing that we could go through. And I think so the privileges is always goes to people that being part of the sales in the previous. There's some cash back to refer, but there's more important. If you had essentially received this chestplate NFT, if you had the Prometheus, you would then not be able to mint the chestplate NFT. Then your pre is actually a 20% discount on your pre-sale at a larger allocation of 10,000. So this is something that is really, really nice to have as well. So there's always some perks. And the most important thing is the token, right? So the token economics, if you look at them, so essentially what you have, 50% of the team, 2% for liquidity, 50% for community rewards. And I think so this is something that is good. You have some for the advisors and the partners, of course. You have some private financing that was done in community financing, which essentially is here at 12%. So right now the 12% will go into the sale, if I'm not mistaken, and it'll be based on, and the price the FDV will be based on how much people are investing. If we look at the utilities of the token has strong utilities, right? It's done as a gas token, a payment token. So if anyone want to buy or anything you want to use within it, this is how it's done. What you have as well is the governance. You'll be able to, vote on different things, which is very important. You'll be able to as well incentives and revenue share, which is really cool. So 50% of XBorg revenue is sent to reward pool, providing staking on yields, which is good. And last but not least is a bit like the SwissBorg token. You essentially be able to have gated access, being premium, have advantage on early access to different things. So all in all, I strongly believe that XBorg is definitely a very, very interesting ecosystem. Of course, this is, a highly risky asset as well. It's not listed yet. It will be listed, I suppose, during the upcoming semester. So, things are looking great. The GameFi industry is a huge narrative. The protocol one is a great one, again, to remind. The identity layer is another great one. The ITO is completely new. I think so this is a massive game changer. The community behind is obviously amazing too. The token has strong utilities and the perks are, as mentioned, there. So for me, this is definitely a very interesting case. We'll see the forward value, how much it's going to be based on how much investors going to be committing. But overall, it's a big thumb up on both sides. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Be wealthy, be healthy, love our Borg and equity. Take care, bye. Louis from XBorg, very excited to have you. You're one of the real great young entrepreneur that's been changing the space. Please introduce yourself for those who don't know you, and then talk about XBorg and its mission, please.
Yeah, sure. Thanks so much, Cyrus, for having me. I'm Louis. Born in France, studied in Switzerland, started in traditional finance. So I was at Credit Suisse and Rothschild. Was also deep into DeFi at the time. Always been a great gamer. I was just here with a friend in Barcelona, and we were just, that was my best friend at the time, and still is. And we were just chatting about all of the fun times we had gaming. So, big chunk of my life was about gaming, and now, have the pleasure to lead XBorg, where what we do essentially is to build the identity of players, and we also have an amazing community of players where we essentially build your identity and also build applications and products that consume your identity. And the whole ecosystem is built in a way that's meritocratic. So the revenues that are generated by XBorg as a protocol, whether it's coming from the businesses or the users, part of it goes to the users. So it's really gamers building for gamers here, which we're really excited about.
That's beautiful. I think so. That's always the right way to scale within the Web3 is to really strongly reward your community, and I think so you guys do it greatly. In terms of reward and what has already been done, I know a lot of people are excited because the ideology and the mission is strong, and we believe that the gaming industry is just almost growing 20% per year. But has there been already something that been built that the community has really take profit from already?
Yes, so we in late 2022 we had an NFT mint, which is the Prometheus collection, and that was a paid mint. So obviously the community paid for something, and in return they got like a whole range of rewards. At the time we dropped Lens protocol handles to essentially all the users, but we mainly focus on games. So what they had access to is some early deals into some of the most awaited games that are going to be released. We, for example, had the AEG token from Aether Games that was released, I think, about a week ago. And that was, I think, a 10x from the price where the Prometheus holders bought the token at. And so it's really just a compilation of early deals to perks that can be financial perks to whitelist of some of the upcoming games that we have in Web3. We also more recently had a free mint, and it was the Chestplate mint, and part of it's the Prometheus collection is 1,111 items, and the collection that we dropped, it was airdropped to the Prometheus holders. So they, essentially built an NFT, got another NFT, which was, valued at quite a high price. So these are the perks that they got. So obviously we've really focused on the Prometheus NFT thus far, but as we release the token, obviously more and more of that utility and of the perks will go to the XBG token.
That's really great. And definitely there's been, a lot of, the Prometheus was definitely one was great. I really think that the launch pad that you guys have launched was really good. And it's great to see that, already people are happy to get a 10x, which is quite crazy when you think about it, from some deals. Do you want to walk us through a bit the roadmap of XBorg and what you guys have been built already? Is that okay with you?
So we focused in 2023 really about because as you understand, we're building this credential layer, so this identity layer, which is pretty much like the gamer passport or ID. And as you understand, to build any type of network or identity network, you need scale and you need great distribution. So we really focused this year on how can we build a network of millions of users. And so what the best part of 2023 was doing amazing partnerships with esports teams. Just a few days ago, we've announced Team Liquid's that's building on top of our protocol. Team Liquid is the world's biggest esports scene. They have, I think, about 2 million fans. So it's really a different scale than what we used to in Web3. We've also secured partnerships with Ninjas in Pyjama, which is also a leading esports team, and Team EDS. They're very well known in Switzerland, and they're also at the LEC, which is the biggest competition in League of Legends. So the other part of 2023 was really about how do you build great distribution, and 2024 is really how do you activate all of the partnerships that we've built. And so what we've released in Q1 of this year was Gamerbase, which is an app where you can essentially build your identity. So we really wanted to have a fun experience to building your identity. So it's not just about connecting your gaming accounts, but it's also about engaging with communities that you like. And I think so far we've onboarded about 10 communities that are on the platform. It's still very much the early days, but it's a fun way in which we understand not just about how good of a gamer you are, but also how good of a contributor you are to gaming ecosystems. So for example, we're able to say if you're a fan of Team Liquid, or if you're an active contributor in the Team Liquid community, or in fact, any communities that are part of our ecosystem. And so, what we have in store for the last part of this quarter is the pre-sale. So we have this token that's essentially used across the whole ecosystem. XBorg will have its own blockchain layer, and that will be the gas token there. And that's, I would say, the big chunk of roadmap item left for Q1. That will be quickly followed by TG, and obviously that will be followed by the exchange listings right during TG. In future, the exciting stuff that we have in the pipeline is the on-chain XBorg ID. So currently the system is mainly built off-chain just to bootstrap the ecosystem. And essentially, as soon as Q2, you'll have your ID on-chain. So that will be yours. There will be provenance. So you'll see what kind of data is in there and how it got there. There will also be a grant program for developers to build on top of our ecosystem. And obviously, we'll scale GamerBase and different apps that we've built for the different teams. So for example, Team Liquid, the Team Liquid app. So although the partnership was announced a few days ago, the app is going to go live, I think, in May. NIP is going live in a few weeks. Same for Team BDS and same for the other teams that we've onboarded. I think so far we've onboarded about 10 teams that haven't been announced just yet. There will also be what we call XBG meritocratic staking. So that means that essentially, as you contribute to the network, so as you vote on governance proposals, so as you use our products, you'll be able to earn rewards by staking your XBG tokens. Some of the thing that I'm more excited towards, more so the end of the year, is what we call the first ITO, which is something that we have planned with one of the biggest esports team in Europe. And that's been an ongoing project for quite some time. There are a few legal hurdles, but it seems like it's getting, we're getting there. We're making good progress. So I think that's going to be planned still for mid this year towards Q3 of this year. And these are amongst some of the things that we have planned. Obviously, XBorg again is this identity layer, and then you have applications that are built on top of it. These teams have applications built on top of it. There will be other applications that will be built on top of it. And I think we'll start the development of other applications towards the end of the year.
Yeah, I mean, look, I couldn't be more bullish about this. So you guys have created this great mission, gained some traction through the first Prometheus NFT sale. Then you have the Launchpad that obviously gave great utility to this NFT. There's been more things that have been building, which is essentially this gaming identity layer that enable you to really passport your, let's say, Web 2 credentials and Web 3 credentials into real professional activities for any player in the world. But on top of that, you said, okay, this is great, but we don't have enough people, right, into Web3. So what is the catalyst that will bring essentially mass adoption to everyone? So it said, okay, instead of trying to build and compete with essentially these big esports teams, you say, okay, let's figure out now what are the biggest esports team. Let's try to talk to them. And more than that, let's try to do some partnerships. Let's try to work with them to find maybe ways that it could make a lot of sense for them. And maybe can you talk about a little bit about this process, how this has really happened? And again, maybe talk about like the future bigger vision of these ITOs again. In other words, would be great.
Yeah, it comes back to I think that the trend that we foresee is and it's obviously need that esports teams have, inherently at XBorg, and I think that's our belief for the whole crypto space is a lot of people build big layers, and they build ZK layers, and they advance the status quo at an infrastructure level, but at an application level, not much is being done. So, for us, it was really, how can we first build an identity layer, but also how can we use this identity layer as a way to solve actual issues? And esports teams, so what esports teams are is essentially they have a pool of players and they have fans, and you have brands that are paying the esports team to get the reach to the fans that are likely to buy their products. But what's happening is the relationship between fans and the esports team can be strengthened. And so what we do is apply this identity layer that we've built as a mean for esports teams to build the identity of their fans. So it creates this sense of belonging between the fans and the team. So, in more simple terms, it's really just a sort of engagement platform where you have quests, challenge, you have events, you'll have social feed, you'll have communication methods, so like direct chats with fans. You also have an avatar, but all of that under the hood is building your identity. And we recognize with Team VDS that this was a huge need for esports teams, not just esports teams, but also other industries. And that's not something that we tackle today, but we know that there is a great demand on other fronts like football or basketball or other verticals. And then we realized also that we believe that the strength of a company is really based on the strength of the community. And that's something we really see in Web3, but that's also something that we think will be extended to Web2 later on. And the concept of ITO is to say, you'll create something where the community will be here from day zero. They will be able to invest in day zero, and they will also be able to receive the perks because they were super early into this initiative. And so what the ITO is, it's really building a decentralized esports team that's completely supported by fans, where the financing is coming from fans, obviously not operated fully by fans because you need a thorough expertise, but it's really built from the ground up with the fans in mind. And what we're building with the esports teams is first this engagement layer on top of our identity layer, and then the quickly after the ITOs and the decentralization of the esports teams. So just a caveat, that won't happen with all of the team, because that's, that poses certain, not issues, but obviously certain questions as far as governance is concerned. But we at least have one esports in the backlog for this year.
And maybe the last we could take care of the pre-sale. One of the last ways to participate into XBorg. I obviously got my Prometheus back in the days. I participated in another earlier pre-sale, and this one's a bit the last one. Maybe you could walk us through a bit, what's happening very shortly.
Sure. Initially we were supposed to have a public sale, and what we did is in fact not have a pre-sale, not have a public sale, but have a pre-sale instead, which is essentially the same. But what that means is it's the last chance to buy XBG token before it goes on exchange listings. And so the pre-sale is really buying early into XBorg. That's not the earliest round, because we had investors, such as XBorg, such as like SwissBorg that obviously financially helped, but also other figures and top executives in the space. And it's open to, I would say, everyone. There are two things to keep in mind. One is the FDV is dynamic. So that means the value of the token is dynamic and depends on how much demand there is. Today, there is about, I think we're nearing towards 14 million of interest. So the FDV will depend, so the price of the token will depend on how much interest there is at the end of the sale, which is quite like what SwissBorg did for the Series A, if you remember that. And the second thing is you can have discounts on the final price. So we have the Chestplate NFT, which we just released, which gives you 20% discounts on the pre-sale. It also gives you greater allocation as per the amount of NFTs you have. And we're also issuing codes, which we call XCodes, but these are really just discount codes that we issue to partner communities. And as far as the dates, we're shooting for end of March to beginning of April. Why we can't give a date just yet is because the smart contract that will host the pre-sale is being audited. So there is still some buffer here, but it's essentially super soon. So if you're interested about the pre-sale, what we recommend is registering your interest. so that you can just, first of all, is that gives us some data as to how many people are interested, but also you then receive emails and you receive all sort of information about the sale. We've just released an article, and I'm sure we'll link this in the video, that gives you a very good summary of all of the pre-sale terms, etc.
Perfect, Louis. Couldn't be more excited. Again, I think what you've done is really particularly brilliant. There's a huge community that's backing, a lot of smart people that already are backing XBorg. I think so. This is another way to show as well the world that the community is going to be rewarded in a very fair way, in a beautiful way. Maybe last words for yourself, Louis?
Yeah, it's important to understand that we really are building with players. And what we mean by this is governance is a big thing in crypto, but not applied the right way. And usually people say, we care about governance, but they really just don't at the end. And for example, the pre-sale and the pre-sale terms were voted by Prometheus holders. So the ones that have our NFT, they are essentially the ones that voted that, yes, we should have a pre-sale and that, yes, we agree on these terms. So, if you're, I guess, someone that likes decentralization and that likes building projects, not from the ground up, but like having a say on over projects, you don't necessarily have to be an avid gamer. I would say, you're welcome to join. We'll link here all of the Discord and Twitter links so you can keep up to date with latest info. And obviously what we discuss here, like the pre-sale, this is non-financial advice, that's inherently risky, that's crypto. But yeah, super excited about this. And then, yeah, obviously just after we have the TG, or the long awaited XBG token will be live. And we are super excited about this.
Perfect. Maybe last word representing the XBorg. Thank you very much, Louis, for your time. Looking forward to the next phase, and keep tuned in. Take care.
Yeah, bye-bye. Thanks, everyone.